Hey guys, it's Dave. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to make a quick video today about the big news about all these launch contracts that have been awarded by Space Systems Command. So if you're not familiar with what this is all about, I highly recommend you check out my previous video where I went in depth on the NSSL contract program and how it's basically the single biggest customer for launchers right now. Massive amounts of dollars are doled out by the government, the US Space Force, Air Force, all that. Billions of dollars, really, and every launcher wants their piece. So I wanted to take you through the announcement today, what Rocket Lab is doing about it to try and address this, and how they're trying to get their own slice of this massive pie, and why it really is so important, even though, you know, a lot of people in the commercial side of things don't really seem to pay enough of attention to it. This is the kind of money that for launch companies can be like make or break for your company if you get a big slice of this contract. So very big deal. Rocket Lab's after the next phase, so is Firefly. I'm sure Relativity will be, as well as the current players, which are SpaceX and United Launch Alliance. Oh, and by the way, I did just want to ask you to consider subscribing if you haven't already, and also hit that like button to help this video get spread to more people. Both are very helpful to continuing to support the channel. Thanks, and let's dive into these massive launch contracts. So here is the article published by the great Michael Sheets. He's also on Twitter if you want to consider following him. He has a lot of great info on the space industry. But anyway, basically, massive headline: Space Force awards $2.5 billion in rocket launch contracts to SpaceX and ULA for 21 launches. And if you're a Rocket Lab fan and you're just kind of a casual fan and not really looking too in-depth in the space industry, you might wonder, well, where's Rocket Lab's slice here? What's going on? Basically, what happened is the NSSL is divided up into different phases. The previous phase, which is phase 2, and what these launches fall under, was decided back in 2020. And SpaceX and ULA were the two winners of that, their vehicles being on-ramped into the process and the money for the launches being divided up between them. So ULA somehow managed to get 60%, where only SpaceX got 40%. I think that's really the power of lobbying for you and a lot of the old school connections they did have. But, and funny enough, their Vulcan was supposed to be on-ramped back in like 2021. That hasn't happened. Anyway, $2.5 billion in awards for SpaceX and ULA under phase 2, and now phase 3 is about to start 2025-ish, I believe. At that time, Rocket Lab's Neutron is planning to compete, and then they'll be eligible for some of these massive contract deals, and they'll be going head-to-head with some of these other rockets like the Vulcan and like the Falcon 9. There's a lot more to the story, though, but let's just dive into these details from today. So, ULA received 11 missions valued at $1.3 billion. SpaceX received 10 missions valued at $1.23 billion. So very similar value between the two companies. Remember that Rocket Lab, trailing 12 months of their revenues, probably something like maybe $220-ish million. So each of these companies getting like a, 5x at least what Rocket Lab makes in a year just today. So really, really big deal for these companies, and really, really want Neutron to get some of these launches when the next phase rolls around, and they have that option. If you are wondering about Electron, by the way, Electron's too small. It wouldn't be in this program. The previous phase had a lot more stringent requirements on the rockets and how big they had to be and get to certain locations. Anyway, these missions are scheduled to launch over the next 2 to 3 years. And as I said, this is the last round of orders under the multi-year program called NSSL Phase 2. After this round, I guess we're moving on to Phase 3. And the interesting thing is this is continuing to expand. So Phase 2 was originally to consist of 34 missions. And it has increased to 48 missions, which I think bodes well for the future of this program. And, it may continue to grow even beyond the expected massive number of launches that Phase 3 already has planned. SpaceX got more missions than previously planned, basically because Vulcan wasn't ready, so SpaceX was ready, and it was critical to deliver payloads on time. So far in the next round, they have an estimated 90 launches, and who knows, that could probably go up quite a lot in the future as well. And if you were interested on what these missions are, you can take a look here. There's some GPS, some national reconnaissance, probably a lot of secret stuff. SDA, Space Development Agency, building out a constellation, obviously GPS, that kind of thing. So Rocket Lab actually made their own announcement today, and it's just funny that it's like at the same day. We already know that they very much want to participate in this program when the next phase comes around. And wouldn't you know it, they did have a space on their board of directors, and they appointed retired U.S. Space Force Lieutenant General Nina Armagno. I am probably pronouncing that name wrong, but I think this really goes to show how deadly serious they are about capturing some of this revenue. Definitely, the more connections you have with the government, I think it really does help. And having someone who used to be with the Space Force in a very senior position on your board of directors, I'm sure will definitely help as they compete for these launches. She did serve more than 35 years in leadership positions for the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Space Force. She also served as Director of Plans and Policy for U.S. Strategic Command and as Director for Space Programs at the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Acquisition for the Air Force. Now that is certainly a mouthful. Quote from Peter Beck saying that Nina has an accomplished background in space operations and national defense as a part of her distinguished military career, and we're thrilled to have her bring this wealth of knowledge to Rocket Lab. Our board is comprised of world-class leaders and carefully selected subject matter experts. So I'm sure she is a subject matter expert on these national security and military style contracts. Just some other details that may be of interest to you if you're a Rocket Lab stockholder. So Neutron already did actually win $24 million from the U.S. Space Force to develop the upper stage of their Neutron rocket. It's not uncommon for the Space Force to award some of these rockets with money to help them develop these capabilities. But what's interesting here is this money is coming from U.S. Space Force's Space Systems Command, which is what awards these NSSL contracts. And the agreement signifies Rocket Lab's commitment to becoming a launch provider for the National Security Space Launch Program, which launches the United States' most critical missions. So they've already received money from the Space Force, and they do fully intend to compete for this next stage. And just the massive numbers being announced today really just kind of made my eyes pop. And this announcement of the new board member really underscored, at least to me, their commitment to shoot for this massive contract. And I really do think if they do get some launches out of the deal, it could be like one of the cornerstones of the customers for Neutron in the future. So existing NSSL launch providers include SpaceX and ULA. The awarding of this contract recognizes Rocket Lab as a potential NSSL Phase 3 provider from 2025. So yeah, once again, they're a potential provider in 2025. Really excited for the news for that 2025 competition as we do get closer to it. Few other small details, I did cover these in the previous video, but Rocket Lab did say that they are very happy with Space Force's plan for this Phase 3 of the NSSL program, which has now 2 separate lanes, and one lane is much more open to commercial companies like Rocket Lab with less stringent requirements around it. So they did have various industry days and things like that where members of the industry could advise the Air Force on what they thought the structure should be, and Peter Beck and the company did play a role in providing feedback, and they are pretty happy with how this contract did get structured, and it did turn out. So Peter Beck did say that lane 1, obviously that lane I was just talking about, is the sweet spot for Neutron. and it should be coming online at the perfect time if they really do launch late 2024, early 2025, right when that 2025 timeline comes around for the next phase. It's really perfect timing, and I think that is one of the big reasons why they're trying to get it online so quickly for that 2025 timeline. There's already at least 30 missions projected for that lanes, and I'm sure many more will continue to get added in the future. So that's the news for today. Massive amounts of money being awarded in a single day to both SpaceX and ULA. So obviously congratulations to those two companies. I'm sure they're going to be very happy with the amount of revenue that will be bringing in, about 1.3 billion each. Meanwhile, Rocket Lab eyeing that next phase starting in 2025. And if you're more of a casual viewer, you may have been wondering, oh my gosh, is something wrong? Why isn't Neutron in on this? Why is there no mention of a Rocket Lab? Well, no, this is completely expected. We already knew these two companies were the providers for phase 2, and this is kind of the last round of big launches before that ends. Let me know what you think about this announcement in the comments below. Do you think Vulcan is really going to be able to get off all these launches? They've had so many delays. They're finally trying to get back launching towards the end of the year, but it's a big manifest for them. They are reliant on Blue Origin's engines, and that could be another potential bottleneck depending on how fast Blue Origin can deliver. So a lot of question marks there. Definitely exciting to look towards 2025 and the next phase. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. I hope you've had a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.